Hi, Steph. I'm going to tell you some thoughts about this puzzle, some of which you probably already know, maybe all of them, but here we go. So, top left-hand corner, the 3 here could be a 1 or 2, but it can't be a 2 because of the 4. So we've got 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, and that seems to be pretty much the end of that. So I noticed that up here in the right-hand corner, there's quite a few big numbers. And by that I mean, 7, 8, 9's here, 7, 8, 9's here, 8, 9's here. Lots of big stuff, which tends to eliminate some possibilities, but I don't see anything immediate. Coming down here, I notice the 8, 9, 8, 9, 8, 9 over here, and so I start to wonder about what's going on down here. And this is 39. 39 is pretty close to 45. In fact, we're missing just 6, so there's not going to be any 1, 2s, 3s here. But I don't really see how that helps me immediately. So I kind of want to know how these are paired up, because, for instance, over here, this is 17 and 15, so this has to be 17 and 15. So this part right here is 15. And over here in a similar fashion, this is 17 and 9, which is 26. So this has to be 12 and 14. So this is 14, this is 15, and that means this is 10. So we've got 14, 15, and 10. We need to think a little bit more about that. So let's do that. So what ways can this be the 14 that we need? It could be a 9, 5, or it could be an 8, 6. 8, 6 is problematic because this needs to be 15. And if this is 8, 6, then this 15 cannot be 8, 7, and it cannot be 9, 6. And so 8, 6 for 14 blocks all possibilities for 15. And so since it can't be 8, 6, it's 9, 5. And since it's 9, 5, pretty clearly 9 needs to be here, and the 5 here, and the 8, and the 4, and the 8, and the 9, and the 8, and the 7. And so now we're here, and we noted that there can't be a 1, 2, 3 in here, so it's pretty clear that this is a 4 and a 6, or a 4 and a 6. And oftentimes, when there's just two possibilities, like 4, 6, 4, 6, I put them in. Like up here, 8, 9, 8, 9, I can put them in. But when it starts to be 3 of them, I start to get less enthusiastic. It's not wrong, it's fine, but you have to know how to use those. And down here, my tendency, instead of putting in the 4, 6 and the 8, 9 and exploring where it would go, my tendency is to try to think through possibilities. So, for instance, one of these two is a 4 and one of these two is a 6. And I went through this once before making this little video, and I was interested in seeing what happens if this is a 6. And I explored pretty deep in my head up here and didn't really get anywhere at all. So instead of that, I'm going to explore an equivalent thing. What if this is a 4? And let's just see. If this is a 4, this could be an 8 or a 9. So let's say it's a 4, 8. 4 and 8 is 12. That makes this an 8. We got 2 8s. That's a problem. So this would have to be 4, 9. If it's 4, 9, then that's 13, and this would have to be a 7. Now, if that's a 7, then this is an 8, 9, and this is an 8, 9. So if this is a 7, these two are 8 and 9 in some order, and that's 7, 8, 9, and that's 24, and that's 26, and that leaves a 2 here. Earlier, in thinking about this puzzle, I had thought about what happens if these are large, because you remember I said a lot of these numbers are large, and I had already figured out that there's a possibility of a 2 showing up here, and it wouldn't be good. And so it looks like this cannot be a 4, and that means it's a 6. And this is a 4. And so we're very happy, but we still need to figure out what comes next. Well, we still have 2 possibilities here, and so what if this is an 8 right here? If that's an 8, that's 14, that'll be a 6. We have 2 6s, that's no good. So we have a 9 and an 8. And then up here we've got a 5. And what comes next? So each place where there's a pause and there's some more thinking, there's more than one way to deal with those pauses usually. So I haven't tried to figure out all the different ways that you could make progress here, but here is one way. Since this is 24, this cell is 7, 8, or 9. Since that's an 8, it's 7 or 9. Since I'm getting kind of close to 27, I'm going to assume that this is a 9 for the purposes of elimination. So since it's 9, that's 17, 21, that leaves me 6 more. I already was pretty sure that there couldn't be a 1 along here, but how do we get to 6? If it's 1, 5, this would be a 1, this would be a 5, that would be a 6. That contradicts this 24, because 24 is 7, 8, 9. So it can't be a 1, 5, it can't be a 2, 4 because of this 4, so therefore this is not a 9. It's not a 9, it's not an 8, so it's a 7. Somewhere along in here, we get to the point where it's just doable. And so I'm going to protect myself from this thing quitting on me because we're done, because I want to back up in just a minute, I think. So what do we do next? Well, now we're pretty sure there's something here. So there's lots of things that we could do. This is 7, 8, or 9. It can't be a 7 because this would be a 4 and that would contradict. So this is not a 7, this is not a 7. That means this guy has to be a 7. That's one kind of thing we could do. Over here we got 19 out of the 27. So we need 8 more. I don't know. Does that narrow it down? We have 1, 7. We have 2, 6. We have 3, 5. 3, 5 doesn't work. The 1, 7 doesn't work. So I think it probably needs to be 2, 6. So we're going to need a 6 here. And 2 here. And this lets us fill in. We've got 20 here, so this would be an 8. This would be a 9. This would be an 8. This would be a 9. And as I've said repeatedly, there's more than one way to do that. So we're done, except that I don't want to be done. I'm going to undo back to right around here. And I want to show you something that you probably already know. But at this point, when I had all these pairs, like we had 4 and 6 as possibilities. 4 and 6, and we had 8 and 9, and 8 and 9, and 8 and 9. And 8 and 9. And what else? Let's just do 7, 8, 9, although putting in 3 of them bugs me. And let's think here. It's sometimes helpful to pick things that are somewhat narrowed down. So I try to stick with 2 possibilities in each square, but 3 once in a while I'll accept. More than 3 seems to me to be problematic. It doesn't help me very much. So based on the 7, 8, 9 here, this would be 4, 3, 2. This one seems pretty hard to deal with, so I'm not going to bother. So in dealing with this, the column adds up to 20. If we have 4 and 8, that gives 12, and we'd need 8, so that doesn't work. If we have 4 and 9, that gives 13, and that makes this a 7. So if this is a 7, so hear me out. If this is a 4 and this is a 9, then this is a 7. And that means we have a 7, 8, or 9 in this, a 7, 8, or 9 in this, a 7, 8, or 9 in this. That means those 3 squares are 7, 8, or 9. That means they add up to 24. This is 26. That makes this another 2. And so this number can't be a 7. So we can't have 4, 8, 8. We can't have 4, 9, 7. So we can't have 4. And that having that 7, 8, and 9 visible helps us think about the fact that if there's any kind of version of 7, 8, or 9 in 3 squares, then those 3 squares have to be 7 or 8 or 9. So now we have a 4 here. And we can narrow this down again. I mean, if this is a 6 and an 8, that's a 14, and then that gives us another 6, so that has to be a 9, and then this is an 8, and then I don't think I need to keep going, but you can use this stuff to help you figure things out. And eventually you get enough figured out to where you know what's going on, and there you have it. And so it is possible to use these numbers, these possibilities, in a way that's truly helpful. But 2 numbers in a square I find very helpful when I'm thinking poorly, and 3 numbers in a square can be helpful if there's 3 groups of 3 of them especially. But 4 and more is a sign that I've missed something usually. So anyway, hope this helped. See you guys soon.